What is good, everyone? This is your host, Deanna Kuempel with Label Free Podcast. To live your best life, you must live label free. I have a very special guest zooming in all the way from the Netherlands. Meet Bas Lebesk. He is an executive mindset coach. Bas, thank you so much for joining us today. Please introduce yourself to the audience and tell us a little bit about your background.
Okay, thank you first of all for having me, Deanna. Um, a little bit about my background. I, as you said, I'm an executive mindset coach now, but that took quite a long journey for me to get here. To tell the story short, my upbringing was like very smooth until I turned 12 and my mother passed away because of cancer. And at the same time, I was struggling with my sexuality, and that the two, like turned my life upside down. And it really started me questioning life purpose. Why is this happening to me? Am I being punished? Am I being responsible for this? Is this a life worth living? Is how, like at first there was the losing of my mother, and then if coming out, I would lose the rest basically, and I would be this soul on my own.
Do you feel that's a lot of people that struggle with their sexuality struggle with, that they're going to lose everything if they do come out?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, even if you come from the most gay friendly family, they you'll only find out truly how gay friendly your family is
Sure.
when you come out. And I've heard parents say, it's fine as long as my children are not.
Yeah.
And that's like, I mean, if that's your child, I mean, you're definitely be in the struggle, and you'd be like, oh yeah, what is going to happen with me if that's going to happen?
Sure.
So yeah, going through that struggle, I there still was I created this belief that I needed to be successful to make something out of my life. So I created several careers, one more successful than the other, um, but they weren't fulfilling. They were successful, but they weren't fulfilling because I wasn't connected with my purpose, and with the questions that I started to raise when I was like in my teenage years, which were so deeply embedded in me, and that I just wanted to have the answer to those questions. So, and I've traveled the world. I've worked in many different countries, and through this like journey all over the world, but also the journey in my own life and in my own mental being. I gained so much knowledge, and that I wanted to start sharing that with people. And I've found out that I was actually quite good at it. I was transforming people's lives, and I was, for the first time, I'm like having this job that doesn't feel like work, and I'm like, I have super exciting stories to tell about how people transform
Yeah, I bet.
together with me, and yeah, that's just so
It's a
much
very
fun.
humbling feeling, isn't it?
Oh yeah. And I mean, the trust they put in you, and the
Yeah.
confidence they put in you, and the willingness people are, uh, yeah, the willingness to share is just like, it's really nice.
I love it.
Yeah, yeah.
So you were actually in hospitality, and then in the financial sector as well. Your previous before becoming a mindset coach, right?
Yes, exactly.
So polar opposites of each other. So I'm, as a certified life coach, I mean, and I've had several careers as well. And I'm actually kind of in limbo right now. Like, I love doing the podcast. The podcast is more of like a hobby at the moment, but
Uh-huh.
and I'm really struggling with the idea of going back into the corporate world, because it really doesn't align with what my I feel my purpose is. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? but I do have to pay my bills somehow.
Yeah.
So we still got to figure that one out. But I really loved some of your questions that you have here that you're ready to answer.
Uh-huh.
As a coach, what experience are you most proud of?
Um, I'm I'm proud of like every transformation I do with people, but what I'm most proud of is that I I treat every individual as a unique person, and I want to find what is the thing that moves the needle for them.
Sure.
And sometimes it can be just the tiniest little thing that will change uh, someone's life completely. Like one of the first clients I had was this woman, and she was like a total perfectionist. She was ruling her household like a tyrant. Basically, it's like she had a husband and a son, and they basically had to obey to whatever she wanted. Where everything needed to be, how clean it needed to be, everything. And so normally, when I'll say I'll talk to clients, it's like, it's like try something small.
Sure.
Start making up your bed today, and then like see if you can do that, and see what happens. But with her, I just took the other way around. It's
Sure.
like, do not make your bed tomorrow. And she panicked.
Yeah.
She said, no, 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 this cannot happen. This is like, I've never done this in my entire life. I've been married to my husband for 25 years. If I'll do that, the house will collapse, basically. So she, the next morning, she leaves, and she makes a picture of the bed unmade, and she sends it to me, and I'm like, okay,
Good.
no problem. But so she's like, I was so nervous, this is so crazy. I mean, I don't know, what will my husband think? And just, okay, it's like, well, just see what happens, just see it
Sure.
as an experiment. Come back tonight. Don't, when you come out of the office, don't go into your bedroom and do it. Just,
Leave it.
when you, yeah, leave it. When you get into bed, you get into bed. So she comes home, goes into the bathroom. The bed is made. And it's like, and it's like, oh, so what happened? It's like, yeah, my husband did it
Really?
for the first time in 20 years. And I was like, and what do you think? It's like, well, he didn't do it the way I was going to do it. I was like, well, it doesn't, as long as, you're not going to say this to him. And if you need
Right.
to bite your tongue, I don't
Yeah.
bite it off, it's like, do not share this with him. But I was also, this was like the trigger. It's like, do you see, what happens if you give someone a chance for the
Right.
first time in 20 years, what will, that he will pick it up and he will do it. So this was the moment for her where everything started to shift.
Shift. Yeah.
She left that perfectionist, and she started to experiment, and she let her husband and her child be who they were, little by little.
Wow.
And she was like, I have two different men walking in my house. I was like, no, no, no. They
You-
didn't do anything.
Right.
You changed. And I mean, she, in the end, she said to me is that she said I saved their marriage. um,
Wow. That's
so
huge.
yeah, that's I mean, that's huge. And that's just, I mean, of course it wasn't just, we worked on
Sure.
many more things afterward. And but she's relaxed. Um she she has now, I mean, she now is living with these two men, and she's enjoying their company again.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest gift, you can give someone. And
Absolutely.
that was like, and ever since, that was, I've always been looking for that one thing in in all my
But
clients.
did she,
And
so real quick, did she ever realize like what was the reason that she wanted everything to be so perfect? Was it like a coping mechanism for her? Did she have some kind of trauma where she needed to have things in its place so she didn't feel that anxiety?
There was a cultural element
Okay.
um, as well, and it's just you know the way she was brought up is like everything just had to look perfect, and
Yeah,
there were family dynamics as well.
sure.
Uh, so um,
That's interesting. Well, that good for her. That's amazing that you did that for her. See, I like my
yeah.
house really clean. I'm not a
Mm,
perfectionist, but for me,
mm,
I feel like your house is a reflection on what's going on inside you. So if your house is a total mess, like I
oh
really
yeah.
feel like you have a lot of stuff going on up here. And so for me, like I'll let things get a little bit out of order, but then I start feeling like I start taking that on and I'm like, okay, no, I need to clean the house. I need everything to be in its place so I can relax.
Mm.
So that's the only reason why I asked that.
That's, I mean, talking about that, that's why I got rid of 75% of my stuff in the last 2 years.
Oh
I
wow.
just, I just like it needs to go.
I wish
I
I
bet
could do
it,
that.
yeah. I mean, I had been traveling for the last, so 2 years ago, 2 years ago, I came back to Amsterdam, but 5 years before I was traveling and living in Brussels, Paris, and Luxembourg. So I was basically living out of two suitcases for
Okay.
that whole period of time, and I was living in furnished apartments and things like
Sure.
that. So, but then I came back to my place, and I was like, so there was all this stuff, and I was going to rent my place. And I was like, I need to empty the apartment. What am I going to do? Am I going to rent storage space, or am I
Right.
just going to like give it away or let go of it? And I basically decided, no, I'm not going to spend like a $2,500, $3,000 on storage for 2 years, and then
Right.
put like all my shit of that's worth nothing in there, boxes I hadn't looked in for years, and I was like, this just needs to go, and I just cleared it out in a week. It's like, and now the funny thing is, a week after, I was thinking, so what did I throw away?
Yeah.
Can you know start mentioning, what did you do? And I couldn't, like, there
Really?
was like a jacket, and I know, of
Sure.
course, I got rid of some CDs from my favorite artists. I of course I still know who my favorite artists are, but if you and I've given away a lot of books, and I mean, I couldn't, like, right now I couldn't name a title of a book that I gave away then.
Interesting.
Uh,
So is that how you
because
say that you so you I here there's a question, how do you walk your talk? So is that an example of how you walk your talk? That you just kind of like cleaned house and got rid of all like the junks to simplify to make things a little bit more easier for you?
Yeah, I mean, and it's just like you feel that you're so attached to all this stuff, but it's like there is. I mean, once it's gone, you're not attached to it anymore. So that's definitely part of the walk my talk. But there's also in the way I exercise, the way I look at my nutrition. I've always been a good sleeper, so that's never been a problem. But I've tried many different things when it comes to nutrition. I tried the paleo diet. I tried yeah, well, paleo is a high protein diet, but I've even experimented a little bit with vegan, but that's too difficult for me. I'm now mainly a vegetarian. I would say 98%. Um, but making that switch to 100 is difficult. But I mean, I'm open to experiment and to look what works for me. Um, Exercising is I mean, is very, very important for me. But
I think it's
it's
important for everybody. I mean,
yeah.
I'm a bodybuilder, so like
Uh-huh.
I typically train twice a day. So, but
Okay.
it's been so cold here, I haven't gone to the gym in a couple days.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, you do it twice a week. I do it 6 times a week.
No, no, twice a
Uh,
day. I said.
Oh yeah, yeah, sorry, twice a day. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, no, that's what I meant to say. Sorry, you do it twice a day. I do it 6 times a week. But that's, where when I talk about balance, balance is not unique. What
No.
works for you,
Yeah.
what works for you doesn't work for me.
Right.
Uh, and so for some people, so I'm working with a client now, for example, and he wants to bring in some exercise again. And it's like, so what did you enjoy doing
Right.
before, And he's like, oh, I'd love to do jump ropes. It's like, well, would you want to like pick that up again?
Sure.
He's like, well, I never really thought about it. I could do that. I was like, let's give it a try. Let's start tomorrow. And he's now like jump roping like crazy.
That's
It's not
great.
my thing. I like to do other things
Right.
for cardio, but it's about finding that one thing that works, and that's it for him.
Yeah.
And that will create better nutrition, better sleep, better
Quality of life.
uh, yeah, all. He will lose weight without being on a diet. I don't believe in diets as a way of losing weight. Um,
No, me neither. I believe in like everything in moderation, you know.
yeah, absolutely.
So for me, I mean, I don't eat a lot of beef currently. I mean, I am more of a
Hmm.
fish person, but occasionally I have a taste for beef, so I will have it. But for the
Hmm.
most part, I believe everything in moderation. You need to have a decent carb. You need to have protein. You need to have your vegetable, well balanced meals.
Yeah.
I don't starve myself. I eat a lot, but I'm
Hmm.
super tiny because I'm very muscular. So
Hmm.
but yeah, I think nutrition is and exercise is a very important part of people like kind of clearing out the fog and finding their way to their best selves or in what you're trying to do and helping them with their mindset. I also feel like when I was a life coach that people overcomplicate their roadblocks and
Hmm.
and like you said, helping them find where they can move the needle for them, once they get there, it's so simple, because
Oh yeah.
you can see it. I can see it as someone looking like the person that's looking in, but they can't see it. It's very interesting to me, like how we are our own worst enemies a lot of time over the smallest thing. I mean, like what you just said about your client who wanted to get back into exercise. He likes jumping rope. All he had to do is go pick up the jump rope, but he needed you.
Exactly.
He needed you to show him the way. Very interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I went through a journey of that on my own. When I was a trader, I was very successful. I was making all this money. I wasn't happy, and I wanted out.
Yeah.
But I created this like golden cage, status, money, all these things that I now know are not that important.
Right.
But letting that go, the image I had that what was going to happen to me was I was going to live on the streets.
Yeah, I read that. I
You
read
know?
that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like so ridiculous. Like I've never lived on the street. And why would that happen to me? There's no evidence in my life. There's no I had money in the bank, and I was like, and I have a good education, but
Yeah.
I was like, if I give this up, I'll have nothing.
Right.
There's just
Yeah.
like all my money will just evaporate, and I'll just have to like live on the street. There's nothing else. Uh, and not even thinking that if I even wanted to, that I could make it back, into
Sure.
that. I could go back into the cage, and live there if I wanted to.
Yeah.
That was an option too, but it was like, no, if you close that, that's gone, and you'll be out on the street. Not immediately, but eventually.
Right. Right. Right.
And
I
yeah, so
understand, I understand that fear because I'm kind of dealing with that right now in a little bit, and our mind is so powerful, and
mhm,
really can manifest great things in our lives, but we also can manifest bad things, and so I've
yeah,
I've kind of gone down that road a little bit in the last couple months because I'm at a crossroads. I don't want to go back into the corporate world. It doesn't behoove me and what my purpose is in life to do that. But I'm thinking to myself, like, oh my God, if I don't get this job, I'm gonna be homeless, I'm gonna lose everything. So I understand that thought process because I've struggled with that a little bit here recently. And I have to remind myself that I'm very powerful.
and you're right, and I mean, you will make. I'm sure you'll make the right choice.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
But no, I was just relating to that thought process because
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
even though we are successful people and we've proven ourselves, we are not immune to having those kind of thoughts, whereas other people might look at us and say, oh, you're so successful, you've done this and that. You probably never thought that you would, never thought this way. And no, we're all human. We all have these basic insecurities where we have to face ourselves in the mirror and just be like, no, this is not what my life's going to be. I'm going to do this. So
Mhm.
I was just relating to that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I can give you another like example of one of my clients if we have time.
Sure.
Um,
Go ahead. Go for it.
so there was this woman, um, and she's in the board of directors, 20 in charge of HR, 20,000 people underneath her, and
Wow.
she's struggling, And when I was talking uh, to my friends about this client, and they're like, but this woman, she should know, that was kind of, I heard that from some other people, and I was like, yeah, but she knows, but she doesn't know. She knows for 20,000 people, but she doesn't know for herself,
Right.
and
Yeah.
she doesn't know where to start. She's been on this sliding slope for so long that the only she doesn't even know what it is to look up again. She's just like only like trying not to fall down.
Yeah.
And I mean, huge transformation once she started going. But that was also, it's like, I it's like people think, that you have to like shake these people and like move them up
Right.
forcefully into the other direction. But it's basically, it's not, it's just you take them by their hands and you see, let's look the other way, and see what's there, what's there to get, and that's just one step away. It's not like a thousand steps away. You do one step and your horizon changes. You do 10 steps and you have no idea what your horizon is going to look like in 10 steps once you start going.
Right.
But
Yeah.
it's indeed about that's it's smooth, it's easy. And a lot of my clients, they say, I couldn't believe that I could do this in such a short period of time and it was this easy. But it's
Yeah.
basically what they all say. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, okay. Um, yeah. And
It's
that's,
gotta feel great to help them get there. So so do you work with people all over the world?
yes.
Okay. And how can, why don't you plug a little bit here for yourself? Where could someone find you if they want to work with you, if they're having roadblocks and they need you to help them coach them?
Yeah, so they can find me on my website, which is bosslebesque.com. I'm sure you'll write my
I
name
will put it
somewhere
all
in
in
the
there.
notes. That's fine. Or on my LinkedIn page, on both channels. All my contact details are there, email and telephone number. Um, I am. When is this gonna air?
Probably not for a couple weeks.
Okay. Well, once in a while, I do, like every other week or so, I do a workshop,
Oh,
which
okay.
is around, well, it's around losing weight. But what I found out through my work is like the moment with all the executives that I worked with, the ones that were overweight, the moment they started to create balance in their life, balance in their body started to appear. There was no diet, no pills, no fluff, no nothing, just like creating balance in your body, and the weight would just drop off.
Yeah.
So I'll have a workshop every, let's say, 3 weeks around that, and that's on my LinkedIn page. You can register there, um, and it will give you great insights how you can create that. And it's really about that unique balance for you,
Sure. Yeah.
and
Very
then the rest will follow, whatever you want to create.
Very true. Very true. That balance is very key. Well, I'm going to start wrapping things up here, Boz. Thank you so much for being a guest. I think we probably could talk for
Oh,
An
yes.
hour or so. I mean,
Oh, yeah, yeah,
it's going so nicely, but we'll have to have you back for a follow up in a couple months and just see how things are going and see how many other lives that you are transforming. But you guys, this is your host, Deanna Kuempel with Label Free Podcast. To live your best life, you must live label free. Don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and share. And I'll be back very soon with more dynamic guests.